is going to show us her skills at Zoom.
Of course, you did this ahead of me.
I tried to drag it out so you could prepare, but.
Here we go.
All right. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome, Rhonda.
Nice. All right.
Having too much fun.
This is my favorite part of the meeting, by the way. As chair of the Northampton School Board, I find that due to the state of emergency declared by the governor as a result of COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with the governor's emergency order number 12 pursuant to executive order 2020-04, this public body is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to this meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, I am confirming that we are providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. We are utilizing Zoom for this electronic meeting. All members of the Northampton School Board have the ability to communicate contemporaneously during this meeting throughout this platform, and the public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through the dialing of the following phone number, 646-876-9923, or on the webinar ID, 979-3442-0292, and password 466600, or by clicking on the following website, which is attached in the agenda. B, providing public notice of the necessary information for accessing the meeting. We previously gave notice to the public of the necessary information for accessing this meeting, including how to access the meeting using Zoom or telephonically. Instructions have also been provided on the website of the SAU 21 at www.sau21.org. Providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there is a problem with access. If anyone has a problem, please call 603-926-8992, extension 103, or email revans@sau21.org. Adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event that the public is unable to access the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled. Please note that all votes that are taken during this meeting shall be done by roll call vote. And we'll start this meeting by taking a roll call attendance. When each member states their presence, please also state if there's anyone in the room with you during this meeting, which is required by the right to know law. We will now call roll call.
Aaron Stanton.
Here. Family in and out.
Okay. Greg Duffy.
Present, alone.
Tom Von Jess.
Present, alone.
Martin Tavishian.
Present and alone.
And Nermina Peterson.
Present and alone.
I have the roll call taken.
Thank you. All right. So first item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from May 14th, 2020, our last school board meeting. Do we have
I
a
make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 14th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
any further discussion?
Aaron Stanton.
Yes.
Greg Duffy.
Yes.
Tom Von Jess.
Yes.
Martin Tavishian.
Yes.
And Nermina Peterson.
Yes.
Okay. I have the vote recorded.
All right, thank you. Next, correspondence and accommodations. So I would like to quickly start and then hand it over to several members of our administration. So tonight we are sort of saddened but also privileged to be the ones to acknowledge the retirement of 4 long-standing citizens of our school teaching staff. Robert Baden-Powell once said, "Try and leave this world a little better than you found it." And while nobody is passing away, that saying has been adopted by many leaders as Leave a Place Better Than You Found It. And our 4 teachers that are retiring tonight have done that. Sharon Marquis is retiring from the 1st grade after 28 years of service. She started in 1992. Brenda Eves is retiring from the 3rd grade after 22 years at Northampton School. Lorraine Johnson is retiring from our OT area after 35 long years at the school. And Leah LaChance is retiring as speech language assistant after 24 years at the Northampton School. All of them have seen such a long tenure and have been dedicated. And I think we have some ceremonial pewter platters that we would normally present tonight, but I think we've made adjustments to that due to the situation we're in. The school board thanks you, and on behalf of past school boards, I'm sure they would thank you too. We're very much appreciative of all of that you have done for the school over the years, and we'll be sad to see you go, but wish you well in your next endeavors.
So do you want me to jump in and start?
Sure.
Okay. So Becca, Tracy, and I each are going to speak about 1 or 2 of the retirees separately. And then afterwards, we have some other commendations too. So I can start. I would like to recognize Brenda Eves as our retiring 3rd grade teacher. Brenda's always recognized for her calm and tireless dedication to the children, families, and staff at Northampton School. One of Brenda's colleagues actually had student taught with her and said that Brenda taught her that the best teachers often speak in the softest voices and reach the most vulnerable students. Brenda truly and passionately loves teaching. She gives her students her heart and soul. She goes to lunch and recess with them every day, even when it's not her day for duty. She loves reading and has more books than anyone I know. They say her classroom's like a second library at Northampton School. So I asked Brenda's colleague, Carrie Ann Coronado, to tell me some special things about Brenda, and here's what she said. She said, something you may not know is that Brenda goes to her students' events. She goes to their baseball, soccer, flag football games. She goes to dance recitals. She sees them perform in theater and music, and she follows them well after they've been graduated from her class. She does this quietly, but she's there. She makes it all about the kids. You already know about her books. And she said, seriously, Brenda pre-orders every children's book that will become a hit. For years on her birthday, her colleagues would go crazy trying to figure out what was the next best children's book to order for her that she already hadn't pre-ordered. She also gives excellent advice on what to read professionally. She's given so many of us recommendations for the next great professional read on how to teach reading and writing. When you need a book, you go to Brenda. Everybody knows that. She also seems to spend at least one day every weekend at the school getting things ready. She's a very special lady, but I know you already knew that. So I come back and say, congratulations on your retirement, Brenda. It was really hard to not give her a hug today at the parade. And I know I wasn't the only one that felt that way. Now, Becca, I think, was going to share about Sharon Markey.
My pleasure to do so. We are extremely for that she has given to our school. During her time at Northampton School, she taught 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. In fact, Mrs. Markey was teaching 1st grade in 1994 when the other members of her current 1st grade team, Tana Gustafson and Laura Nolan, began teaching their careers at Northampton School. Mrs. Markey, is my connection okay? I got a little symbol that I was off. Mrs. Markey immediately welcomes them and was their unofficial mentor. It's meant a lot to both Mrs. Gustafson and Mrs. Nolan to once again be together as this amazing team as Mrs. Markey retires. It's really a full circle moment for all of them. Our school community has many kind words to describe Mrs. Markey. As a teacher, she's an immense love for young children and is patient, nurturing, and kind. She's a gentle nature and is soft-spoken, but she's also a persistent teacher, never giving up on her students. Her colleagues also benefit from her motherly nature, appreciating Ms. Markey's helpfulness, intense loyalty, and willingness to listen. Of course, she's also been a great collaborator whose sense of humor and thoughtful planning has made every team of what she's been a part better. We wish Mrs. Marquis the very best in the new chapter of her life, knowing that she will enjoy her husband, family, and especially that new grandbaby. To borrow some words from the very sweet first grader, Elise Preston, Mrs. Marquis is the best teacher in the world, and I will miss her very much.
I will speak to Lorraine Johnson. Lorraine has been the occupational therapist at Northampton School, as Greg said, for 35 years. Lorraine has delivered all of the OT services on her own for the entire school. She is described by her colleagues as a kind, positive, spiritually centered woman of inner strength. Lorraine's dedication as a certified OT and educator has benefited so many of our students in so many ways. Lorraine could be seen helping at recess, engaging in preschool circle time, working with kindergarten students on learning how to write their letters, and collaborating with the teachers and case managers of our older students to help with organization and ways to get the wiggles out. She worked closely with teachers, case managers, and speech providers, so her services would support the whole child. Lorraine is considered a friend to everyone she meets. Her therapies and activities are abundant, playful, and creative. Anyone who has walked through our downstairs hallways has seen Lorraine encouraging a student to ride a bike or hang on tight to a scooter board. Students clamor to have time with Mrs. Johnson because she makes the hard work fun. Lorraine's work helps students develop capacity, as described by her colleague, with enthusiasm for their successes, which is infectious. Shalon Lay, a graduating 8th grade student who gave me permission to steal her words, worked with Mrs. Johnson and described her as a classy, tenacious occupational therapist. Shalon said, "The adjective I would use to describe Mrs. Johnson is empowering because of her hard work and her passion in helping me in my surroundings, her kindness when I struggle, and her dedication to me and all kids who thrive because of her." Lorraine's years at Northampton has helped generations of community members. I personally have appreciated Lorraine's willingness to jump in feet first, even with the most challenging cases. She was always researching new methods and ideas. Her legacy will live on in the lives she has helped to make better at Northampton School, and we wish her well. I also get to speak about Leah LaChance, who has been the speech language assistant at Northampton School for about 24 years. Leah herself couldn't remember if it was 23 or 24, so that made me feel a little bit better. Leah is described by our speech pathologist, Deb Troyo, who is also Leah's partner in crime, as the most dedicated colleague who is always going above and beyond, working together to evaluate little ones in creative ways, deciphering complex speech language cases, and tackling therapy treatment plans. Leah's colleagues describe her as honest, kind, funny, motivated, professional, and highly knowledgeable. Her expertise has been working with our youngest, as she spent many years in preschool and our early elementary grades. It is that population that she has enjoyed all of these years. She is known as Chance to the little ones. It was noted that the team thinks Leah has changed more diapers than the average SLPA. Her countless hours and efforts are reflected in the many children she's worked with. Shalon Lay, who also worked with Leah, explained that when she met Mrs. LaChance as a preschool student, she did not say more than 3 words. Mrs. LaChance had a goal of 50 words for her by the end of that year, and she lived up to that challenge with Leah's help. Shalon said at graduation, "When I think of Mrs. LaChance, the adjective I think of is inspiring. Why? Because she never gave up on me. She knew there was potential in me because she knew my future would be bright, and she knew I would make something of myself. Please know, Mrs. LaChance, I carry your love of language, your ability to try things a new way, and the memories of a teacher who genuinely celebrated her students' successes." Shalon's sentiments are true for all the students Leah worked with. I can personally say it's been a wonderful experience working with Leah and learning from her incredible depth of knowledge. We also wish her well in retirement and on to the next chapter.
Thanks. We have a couple of other commendations. Is this the right time?
Absolutely.
Okay. We wanted to, some of them are related to the 8th grade graduation because that was such a new and bold format for us. So we'd like to recognize Carly Herlihy and Dimitri Mattis as technology heroes because the combination of their expertise really helped us to be able to pull that off. Carly was pulling the puppet strings in the background with the Zoom, and Dimitri was running, pop-in troubleshooting for anybody who needed it, and things went pretty well, we thought. So
Great.
really, really thankful to Carly and Dimitri, and also the whole 8th grade team because they all worked really hard to plan this together. You saw a video video clips from each of them. So thank you so much to Elliot Pope, Andre Garner, Drew Zaliga, Rebecca Jones, Aaron Preston, Deb Vasconcelos, and then band and chorus teachers Dan Singer and Mary Oliver for helping to support the musical contributions. We also want to give a shout out to Mary Beth Driscoll and Sue McLaughlin in the office because they made the graduation bags that the kids picked up during the 8th grade parade look really sweet, and they made sure everything was in them, from the program to the diploma to the flower lay to I can't remember all the things that were in there, but there was a cute little mini Jaguar too. And speaking of that, we'd like to give a shout out to PAL because they really supported the cost of some of the things that made our graduation special and recognized our teachers. So thank you to PAL for supporting the graduation signs, the mini Jaguars, the t-shirts for the 8th graders, and they even bought t-shirts for all the staff that were given out today at our parade. Shout out to Marcia Zaves for creating a 20-minute through the years video for the 8th graders. And it's really special from when they were little to about now. And she's also working on a compilation of performances from home from The Little Mermaid. So you can look for that later on. In a couple of weeks probably, because I think that's been a very labor-intensive project as well. Another shout out to Paula Field in our kitchen for putting together those lobster roll kits and the BLT, turkey BLT kits. They had those special touches like it had a lobster bib, a little wet wipe, the s'more kit with the picture of Hurricane Island on it, the color changing straw to go with the drink. Just those little details really made a difference. And then I think Tracy has one more shout out.
Yes, so today I had the pleasure of seeing a preschool ceremony, end of the year ceremony graduation for those preschoolers going to kindergarten next year from our Jolly Jaguar preschool program. And Erin Murtaugh is our preschool teacher, and she ran quite the Zoom, if you can imagine having 5-year-olds on a Zoom with extended family joining in. She made sure that each student had at home, which she mailed, a little diploma, a special award. They had little graduation caps, and each student received the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. They did an abridged version of reading that. Each staff member who had something to do with preschool. So Jillian Tarabaccia, Jody Dung, Masako Moore, Erin Murtaugh, Leah LaChance, Lorraine Johnson, Deb Troyo. They all participated in this. And at the end, she had her own through the year slideshow of the preschoolers from the time they started through more recently. So just wanted to give her a shout out because it was quite lovely.
Thanks, Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to give a setup for the videos, the share? Is that now?
We're almost there. Does anyone have anything else they want to say?
I just wanted to thank the administration for putting together such an amazing 8th grade graduation. I actually didn't think it was going to be as emotional as it was, but it was good. We went above and beyond. You guys did a great job.
It was terrific. Yeah, I'll second that. And Sue, I think I'll just speak to you because there's so many people to thank. Becca and Tracy, and all you guys are on the call here, and the entire staff. There's so many people to thank. So I'm just gonna say your staff, yourself, was absolutely outstanding. There were so many details to pull together. It's unprecedented, and I really think you guys pulled it off great between the parades and the ceremonies and everything. Really well done. Tough times, and I give it, from doing it live and doing it the way we did it. I don't know. It was pretty damn good. It's pretty damn good.
I just couldn't, hold it together. Good job, Greg. Thank you.
Okay. Any other accommodations? All right, so I'm gonna hand it back over to Sue. And so one of the things that we've specifically talked about as one of our school board goals is really sort of climbing on the coattails of all the changes and the great things that have gone on over the past 6 to 12 months around climate and culture. And as a group of school board members, we specifically sat on our offsite and said, we need to help foster that change. And we want to start outwardly sending the message about what's going on and how can we highlight that and have students and teachers speak at our school board meetings and really change the narrative of this meeting a bit. There's a lot of business that we do in it, but you know, I really enjoyed this first session that we just had, talking about our retirees and talking about all the excitement around 8th grade graduation. And Sue has even some more things to share. So I'm checking our participants. I know we have no participants here, so I'm kind of talking to us right now, but it's recorded. So maybe at some point someone will get on and take a peek at it. But we've got some more great information and activities that have come from internal that we want to share with you. So Sue, over to you.
Okay, so there's two short videos. One, if you went to the graduation, you got to see Mr. Zliga, Drew, perform a song that he wrote for that 8th grade class, which was super special. He also, you know, played live today at our parade, and you know, they had the speakers up for the 8th grade parade and announced everyone. So he wrote this song called "Life's No More Than a Test," and it's really beautiful. And even if you did hear it, you might like to hear it again. And then the other is a song that was sent to me maybe like a month into the closure. And it's one of our kindergartners, Josie, whose mom sent this video of her singing the school song that we worked on this year. And so all the kids learned the school song, and particularly the younger kids, I think, liked it best. And so it's a very short video of Josie in a tree in her backyard wearing her Northampton School kindergarten t-shirt after she did the Pledge of Allegiance, singing the Northampton school song. So those are the two short videos.
Awesome. All right. And are you sharing the screen, or is Rhonda sharing the screen?
I think Rhonda's doing it.
Okay. That's your cue, Rhonda. She's muted. How many months you been doing this, Rhonda?
How many? Well, I've got Josie here, so we're gonna do this one first.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think we're missing some volume. I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Okay.
I've got the volume up as high as it can go.
So I don't know if it's in like 3 other Zoom meetings today or over the past week, sharing screens have lost volumes. I don't know if it's.
I can hear it, but it's so faint, and I have the volume turned up as high as it will go.
I can hear it individually myself when we play it.
I can hear her mom's phone ringing during it, which is a little louder. I mean, I'd be happy to do this again.
So you hear the volume on your screen, on your computer?
Very, very faintly, yeah. And I've got it turned up. We'll do this again.
I can't hear anything.
Rhonda, there's actually a setting for sharing computer sound.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah.
So I would be happy to let somebody else do that if they know how to do that, or tell me where to find it.
I don't know how to do that. Does anyone know how to do that?
Sorry.
Did you guys not hear it that time? Because I could hear it.
No.
Yeah, now let's put your ears close to the. Sorry.
Okay.
I can show you the other one. Let me get back in here. I closed the wrong screen.
Yeah, that's it.
That was me. Let me give it a shot.
Oh. That was you.
All right.
You know what? There.
Host disabled. All right. Can I share?
I think so.
I can share. All right.
Okay.
Let me try this. All right.
Northampton downtown, come the poster bandstand, to the Northgate sand, jump at Joe's place, on the beach but ice cream. Northampton's made for you and me. Northampton School's not yours, Northampton School's mine. From the Jaguar jungle, to the front yard flagpole, to the grassy playing field, to the wooden nature trail. Northampton's made for you and me. And in the morning, the school bus pulls in, our teachers greet us, and we start learning. We treat each other with kindness. Northampton's made for you and me.
Everybody hear that?
Yep.
Yep.
Here you go, Josie.
Right. There we
Good
go.
job.
So great.
Battery, 10%.
You want through now?
CWP00 CHTTS and Craig's iPhone.
Okay.
You guys see this one? I've got it going in double for some reason.
I didn't hear that.
Can you see it?
Are you sharing the screen? There we go. I'm not getting any volume in this one either. Could anyone else hear that?
No.
No? All right.
Okay,
Why don't I
go for it.
try that one too, because I just pulled out my handy dandy satellite speaker. Hold please 1 moment while I load it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna share.
Happy graduation day to all of the 8th grade Northampton students.
Yes?
This song is called Ghost.
Okay.
I was in my prime 20 years ago, long before the time you began to grow. And now the time has come for you to fly away. No matter what you think, I'm gonna miss you anyway. Center stage is yours. World is at your feet. One develop cures. Step in the spotlight, don't retreat. It's time to carry on. And always do your best. When all is said and done, life's no more than a test. Even the darkest days come to an end. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna be a little stronger, stand a little taller. I'm gonna make it out, 'cause it's your time to shine. Could be our last goodbye. A comfort knowing that got someone to lean on. When the road turns rough, you can just look behind you. It's time to carry on. And always do your best. When all is said and done, life's no more than a test. Time to carry on. And always do your best. When all is said and done, life's no more than a test.
All right. That was great. Oh boy.
Mr. Zliga also happened to deliver personal messages to each of the 8th graders in their mailboxes on Monday, which was pretty special as well.
Thanks, Sue. That was great. What a change a year or two has made. Really positive stuff. All right, I think we're still just in correspondence or correspondence and commendations. So it's great to spend a lot of time here. So do we have any other comments? All right, thank you. So next is our public comment, which I don't see anyone there. Rhonda, is there anyone on there?
I don't have anything.
No, okay. So we'll move through that and we will move right to school council. I believe Sue has an update. Sue, I think you're muted still.
There we go. How's that?
That's good. Thank you.
I just said I do have an update, and feel free to jump in too, Greg. So Greg's been at the last couple of meetings. So we did really reflect on the progress on the progress that we've made in the school improvement plan that we wrote last June, and that plan had 3 major goals. One was around climate and culture. One was around curriculum planning, curriculum and instruction, and the other was around standards-based reporting and assessment. And so we had under the school culture and climate goal, we felt really we had made a lot of progress around reimagining our vision statement, identifying attributes and goals, coming up with the acronym PRIDE that we'd like to continue to roll out next year. We've kind of worked out norms and ways we make decisions as adults. We've worked out expectations for students that kind of have turned into the cornerstone of, you know, how we treat one another at school and what are the behavioral expectations. So we felt like we've made an awful lot of progress there. I have a written document I can share with you for the next meeting if you'd like, that has written progress next to each goal. The second goal was around curriculum alignment, and that was most of the action steps in that goal were 2 years in nature. So we got a lot of work done in vertical teams, identifying standards and competencies and beginning to get the curriculum down in writing, but those are goals that will continue into next year. And then the last goal was around competency-based instruction and assessment. And so we did a lot of work around the QPAs, and a lot of that was related to unpacking standards and competencies and related to work that with the support of the SAU and Jonathan Vanderels, who is the consultant that's been supporting all of us. We did then, after that reflection, at the next meeting, we brainstormed what would be logical next steps. And at the SAU level, there have been a lot of discussions around not having a lot of new initiatives right now because there's so many things on our plate and so much uncertainty around plans for next year. And so we discussed keeping the same goals and just changing the action steps. And so we developed a new plan that has the next logical action steps. So none of them are surprises. And the Leadership Council was really, it just felt that it was very logical to keep going. So for example, the vision statement and the PRIDE acronym have been presented just to the faculty, but not to kids and not to the whole community. So one of our action steps around culture and climate would be to roll that out and to roll out some PRIDE awards for students and, to really make that part of the fabric of the school for kids. Some other next steps are just to continuing the social emotional learning for students. As you know, we adopted Open Circle as our social emotional curriculum for K-5. And we had a lot of discussions this year at the middle school level and determined that it would really benefit our students to bring back an advisory model. And so this summer, virtually all of our middle school teachers are going to responsive classroom training. It's in a virtual format now. So rather than travel up to Concord, everyone's going to be able to do it from home. It's a 4-day training. So we have 13 staff members. That includes Becca, Tracy, and me, but 13 staff members that are giving 4 of their days in the summer to get responsive classroom trained. And we're really looking forward to rolling advisory back out. I know it's something that had been part of Northampton School before. It might look a little different this time, but so those are some of our next steps, and then continuing the curriculum work. And the third goal around the grading, assessment, and reporting really has a number of action steps that will require the support of our new literacy and math specialists, K-5, and identifying the assessments that we'll conduct on a regular basis and how we're going to keep track of progress and how we're going to continue to implement either what you could call RTI for response to intervention for our intervention model, or we've had a lot of discussions about kind of flipping that and calling it a win time, which is what I need. So a time when you provide interventions for students who need it and you provide challenge for students who are ready for enrichment. So those are some of the action steps. And the third goal, we presented this to the faculty at the faculty meeting on Wednesday, and we're ready to send the documents to you for next month and hope that you find it helpful in board planning.
Excellent. Thank you, Sue. Any questions for Susan? Not at this time. Okay. Moving on. So update on the return to school task force is Dr. Hobbs going to take that one? Oh, Bill.
I'll take that. So let me say a couple words about this, and obviously anybody can answer questions. So let me give you a couple of markers sort of first. So the task force has been meeting, the working groups have been meeting, and we are at a point by next week where we want to brief the boards, and so we've tentatively set up Monday, June 15th for a joint board meeting. Remember, we still have that CESPA agreement or addendum to take care of, so we've set that up as a time to brief you on where we are. We've scheduled an employee forum for the next day for only people who work in our system, and a community forum for that night, Tuesday evening. And we're hoping that we can do that in conjunction with SAU 90 since our plans are, since we're working together mainly on those plans. I want to say that we're doing that even though we're not at a point of sort of firm recommendations, because we share a belief that to give people information, even if it's letting them know the things that we're wrestling with, is really important, and gives people information so that they're not, so that there aren't all kinds of things that aren't true that are going around. So we want to try to do that on those dates, and this will, I think what we've discovered, if anything, is this will be an evolving conversation. Some of the districts today that were at the Southeasters meeting, we're talking about kind of recommendations by mid-July. I certainly think we'll have something firmer before that, but this will continue to evolve through the summer. So I want to say 2 or 3 things to you up front before I share with you a couple of the items that we've spent some time on at these meetings. And that is that, first of all, much of what I'm going to share with you tonight are things that we've begun to make a list that are not scenario dependent, right? They don't become true or not true whether we're in school or remotely or in some hybrid model. So we've been trying to capture that list because we're sensitive to this question that we continue to be asked about: are there things that we can be doing now? And there are things that we can be doing now, and some things that we are doing now. Second, we're very, very sensitive to this concern that I think Mr. Von Jess has brought up at these meetings, and others have brought up to us, about the need for us, if possible, to find ways for kids to be in school because of the issues that creates if they're not, for families and people trying to go to work and those kinds of things. So we're very, very sensitive to that, and most of our discussions are about finding ways to do that. Similarly, we are sensitive to our employees, particularly those who live in other school districts, who I think one of the members of our task force put it best on Monday, in a concern about whether, Exeter might do something that's very different than what we do. And this high school teacher who's on our committee said in the chat feature, and I'll bet I've repeated it 20 times since, please don't put me in a position where I have to choose between my job and my family. And I brought that up at the Southeasters meeting today, pleading, I'll use that word, that we find ways to get on the same page with respect to at least the basic models of what we're going to do, so that we don't put people in a position where they have to choose to stay home with their families because Exeter's chosen to go remote while we've chosen to come back, because that would be very bad for all of us. I will share with you that a couple people today shared numbers. We're going to be doing our own surveys, but statewide, Jerry Frew from the Superintendent's Association reported that in some districts he's worked with, 20% of families, when given a list of sort of the safeguards that would be put in place, still said, I'm concerned about sending my child back to school. I probably at this point would opt not to do that. Interestingly enough, he also told us that in a survey of high schoolers, middle schoolers, it was only 10% of them who said they wouldn't be comfortable coming back under the same circumstances. So whether they're more open to risk than their parents are, I don't know. But he said those districts were getting the same kinds of reports, about 1 in 5, which is what we've seen now nationally in terms of their staff being concerned about returning. So I want to share with you just a couple of these sort of bigger picture, not scenario dependent things that we've been talking about, and then we'll have a lot more to say on the 15th. And if you have any questions, we're happy to try to answer them. So we've been talking about the need to make sure that we have a robust wireless infrastructure in all schools, and particularly of infrastructure that can handle upload and download speeds at the same level. Many schools don't have those at the same level throughout the country. And so Jason will be working to make sure we figure out exactly where we are, thinking that we might have kids who aren't in school, but who we are doing more of a room and Zoom kind of thing. And we have to be able to do that for teachers across the school. And that may take more of a backbone than we have in some of our schools. We've talked about making sure that we have a one-to-one scenario in terms of take home in grades 6 through 8 from the beginning of the year. That seems to be the days of having one-to-one and keeping the devices in school, at least in 6 through 8. I think most people agree, no matter the scenario, are probably over. We've talked about making sure that, you know, some of these things for remote learning that we're going to need to have in place, even if we think we're coming back at the beginning of the year, because what we're seeing in other countries are sort of these rolling closures that we've talked with you about. So making sure that we have a remote learning schedule that is coordinated across K-12 in all schools, providing minimum parameters for face-to-face learning, including appropriate planning time for teachers, making sure that we have a consistent measurement system for student performance, that we've established grading and reporting policies and practices, all those kinds of things. Quite frankly, whether we intend to use them at the beginning of the year or not, we need to have them. One that's really an interesting one, maybe more for me than others, I don't know. But you know, we've spent a lot of time as a country encouraging people to come to school, come to work, sometimes even if they're not well, they're sick. And so how do we make sure that what we're saying to people about staying home when you're sick, that in terms of our culture doesn't always translate great, but that we can get that message across, and what can we do to make sure that we encourage people to do that and do it right. And we had a lot of other conversations about screening procedures, and Matt has already solved our fingerprinting problem for new employees by making sure that we have something there where someone doesn't need to touch your hand and to get your fingerprint, and all those things are in place. And finally, the one I want to share with you tonight is we've had a lot of conversation about calendar. And that is that we think we're going to need to go back and look at our school calendar from two perspectives. One is a goal of moving more of our professional development time to the beginning of the year, so that we have time, no matter what the scenario is, to actually work with teachers around that scenario. So we had a lot of conversations about trying to move that time up front, and to do the same calendar with 90, to work with 90 on that. And secondly, to make sure that we still are able to build some PD time in throughout the year, depending on the scenarios that we run into during the year. And that may require us to go across the SAU to more of an hours base than a number of days based in terms of student time. That would allow us to schedule some additional time for professional development throughout the year. So these are just some of the non-scenario dependent kinds of things we've been talking about. There are a couple of staffing pieces. I know we've been asked about that by this board. One at the high school around tracking and working with our graduates, because what we know is and we haven't talked much here about that group that Donna Couture is chairing, but just looking at what our graduates are going to encounter over the next few years in terms of colleges that they think they're going to now, all those kinds of pieces. So we've talked about some of that as well, but a much more sort of detailed briefing coming on the 15th. But I want to give you a flavor of sort of what the conversations have been, the kinds of conversations we're trying to have with our neighbors, and really where our focus has been over these weeks. I'm happy to try to answer any questions, or you have 3 of the 5 chairs of subcommittees here, and a lot of people who sit on subcommittees or the task force itself here. The 2 chairs, of course, who are not with you here tonight are Jason Saltmarsh, who's doing our technology group, and Donna Couture, who's doing that post-secondary group.
Bill, I have a question. I mean, I get it. It's important to be ready if and when we go back to school and cover all bases. But isn't this ultimately going to come down to what our governor decides and where his orders comes from? Because once those are in place, we can only do so much or so little or not enough. Or, you know, I mean, I agree. I'd love to see us all just to go back to school and do the best we can with the guidelines given. But being prepared is one thing, but being able to do any of these things is another to me, it seems like.
So we hope so. I hope I'm responding to the governor. The commissioner's been very clear that what they are doing at the state level is 50,000 feet guidance, because he continues to remind us these are local decisions. And I'll just personally say this is a situation where I don't find that to be terribly helpful. And you may even recall that when we actually closed as a region before the governor ordered schools closed. So I hope we're not in that scenario again, but there has been, again, as the commissioner even refers to the START report as being a 50,000-foot guidance document, that concerns me. So I'll just say that the guidance, whether it's been on end of the year celebrations, whether it's been on ESY programming for the summer, has not been terribly helpful, and has certainly not established much consistency across the state.
Okay, so we're on our own. I like it.
In some ways, right now, at least we feel like we're on our own.
Good. I like it. We get to make our own decisions.
Well, except within the parameters. The problem is within the parameters I talked about earlier, right?
Right. That's right. That's the problem. That's where we come into that whole wall. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Any other questions for Dr. Lupini?
I had one question. We get, my husband being a physician at Exeter Hospital gets a lot of updates on, from their leadership team and how they're handling this and what their caseloads are and how they feel it's like moving through the population here. I was wondering if there's been any communication, through like other, SAU for Exeter and for us and through Portsmouth Hospital, just seeing where we are with the caseload and what their projections are. Because, when you monitor a lot of their projections, I see them and they're looking at a pretty flat rate by August. So I just thought that maybe some sort of communication with the local hospitals and what their projections are might be helpful for coming up with some of our own projections.
So we have some of that through our nurses. We have some of that through Senator Sherman's helped us, put us in some contact with some people who can advise us in that area. SAU 90 has a person who's been advising them, and I sit on their team. So we have some of that. We have some I will say in the end, we're going to have some recommendations in terms of some structures around lead nursing concepts, school physician concepts that will probably make that more robust. But we are getting some of that advice now. I'd always like to have more. So.
Yeah, maybe I will attempt to see where we could find somebody to communicate more directly with you.
That'd be great.
They come up with some great data, and when you look at they're doing their beds that are needed, ICU beds that are needed, ventilators that are needed, and their current projections are pretty low going through July and into August, and where their numbers are, which I think having data like that is also helpful for the general public in terms of teachers being scared, people being scared about coming back, just seeing where our hospital staffs are, where our medical staff is, and saying this is where they feel safe, and it might make our school system feel a bit more safe as well.
There needs to be some better information.
Yeah.
on young people being asymptomatic and carrying, right? I mean, because we've gotten mixed messages from the CDC, from DHHS, along the way on that, and whether, you know, students coming back in can be safe is one thing, but whether they're transmitting it home or to older staff or those kinds of things is a completely different story. So, you know, every time I see one of those models, and I'd be interested in the conversation, because I wonder, a September model, does it assume we're back in school? And do they have all the information to actually project a September model if we're back in school? Do we know enough about young people and this this virus to actually make projections about what people going back to school looks like? And I simply don't know the answer to that, and I welcome a conversation with people who do.
I understand. Yeah, well, we just keep seeing things change. You know,
right.
Journal articles and JAMA are saying that it doesn't live on objects like we originally thought that it might have. And, you know, right. Recommendations getting pulled back and pulled back. I just hope that, you know, our plans are fluid, and it seemed like what you were talking about is a fluid plan that is kind of rolling with the knowledge as we gain the knowledge, which
right.
is.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it's highly complex, obviously. But I think what you'll find on the 15th when Dr. Lupini and the staff unrolls a little bit more is that there's sort of basically three scenarios that they're working with. Going back to school, not going back to school, and then going back to school but having to leave school. Like, those are kind of the three things. And all the other stuff that is there and we'll have to take into consideration, you know, the rise and the fall of the virus and how contagious is it and all that. But at the very least, I think from what I've seen, the preparation around when and how do we go back physically, and if we don't, what are we doing? And then if we have to go back and then all of a sudden it flares up and we have to go to remote again, what are we doing to prepare for that? So I feel really good about what I've seen so far in preparation, and just the thought process that everybody is putting towards it around those three kind of basic scenarios. So, I mean, all we can do is prepare for that, right? And
yep.
And then I think someone brought it up in I think it was a joint board meeting. Any idea on sort of like a go, no-go date on when a decision would need to be made by, and not like the governor, not anyone else's, but just a general, if we're going to go back, we need to at least know by this date that we're going to go back. Not saying that that's the date that we decide to go back, but you need to prepare for going back. What kind of generally is that ballpark date?
I'll just go with my colleagues from the South. It's certainly by mid-July.
Yeah, so that's soon. Yeah.
And it could shift out from underneath us. That's why I laughed a little bit when you asked the question. And it could shift in this week. So right.
Yeah. We're all learning to be very flexible.
Yeah.
Any additional questions?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Lupini. Moving on to new business. We have a bid for interior painting. I believe that is your domain, Mr. Ferreira.
Yes, so we did just complete a bid process for the proposed painting project. Bids were sent to 7 vendors, of which 3 attended the walkthrough and submitted bids. We had budgeted $18,000 for this project, and as you can see, all 3 bids were above that amount. So we are recommending, after speaking with the 3 vendors, we are recommending awarding the bid to 307 Painting, contingent upon negotiating a revised painting plan. not to exceed that $18,000 budgeted amount.
Tom?
So a couple quick questions. First of all, thank you. Has we or any other school in the district used 307? Do we know about the quality of their work?
We have not used 307.
Have we used any of those three? Sorry, just to add on to Tom's.
Yeah, I believe we've used both. We've definitely used FA Gray, and I'm fairly certain that we've used CertaPro.
CertaPro.
So the reason I'm asking that is as we start to go back and we negotiate down from where they are, I want to avoid spending less now, but needing to spend more later because the quality of work or quality of materials is less than, and have it cost us more down the road. So I'm totally open to paying the least amount possible. And I look at that kind of over time, not just the stroking this one check.
Yeah, so I think the discussion, it's not going to be around the materials or layers of paint, etc. It's going to be focused on the scope. Okay. So this encompasses a number of offices and rooms. So we'd be looking at just lessening that scope.
Okay, that makes sense.
Less painting.
And we've got good references from 307.
Yeah, so our John Gamache and Sue Spooner both met with 307. We haven't used them, however, I think they know this company in some manner. So they went over the whole project and they're comfortable with this company.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions for Matt? All right, I believe we need a motion for this.
I'll make a motion to award interior painting bid to 307 Painting with a reduced scope of work, so the total expenses not exceed $18,000.
Second.
Okay, vote. Any further discussion? Nope.
Aaron?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
And Nermina?
Yes.
I have the vote, Greg.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. Moving on, in your board docs, you have deliberative session dates. Matt, you want to talk to this?
Yes, sorry, I was on mute. So actually, we have the deliberative session dates as well as the next agenda item, which is the budget development timeline, which I'll just roll through. They're really the same item, so I'll just address both of them, if you don't mind. So this just provides a timeline for our budget process this fall. It is a pretty aggressive timeline. The budget committee did set some dates that were a little earlier than in previous years. So we are planning to deliver a proposed budget to the school board by October 12th. And we will have a few weeks to work on that budget to deliver to the budget committee, by the 6th of November. Our deliberative session is scheduled for February 2nd, and we do have a snow date scheduled for the following day, the 3rd. I will note that the Northampton deliberative session is on the same date as the Hampton Falls deliberative session. So, be happy to answer any questions in regard to this timeline.
Can you come to our deliberative session instead of Hampton Falls?
Whoever asks first. So yes.
All right.
No. Didn't you just have the Hampton Falls board meeting?
No, no.
That
That's
mean
I
you're
thought that
leaving Hampton Falls?
We were at South.
Oh,
Oh,
Southampton's.
We'll see what type of budgets we have on Hampton Falls and Northampton, and how contentious they are. So this is going to be so. Needless to say, this budget process is going to be it's going to require some thought. Obviously our communities are struggling, so we're really going to have to work hard to bring forth a very fiscally responsible budget.
For sure.
Thank you, Matt. Any additional questions? No. Okay. Moving on, we have a draft of our meeting calendar. This is the school year calendar.
Yes, this is so what we did is we gave this out at the joint board meeting. It actually includes each of the board, all of our board meetings for next year, along with the operations committee meetings, the joint board meetings, and the policy committee meetings. So Rhonda did a great job of taking this year's calendar, looking at some changes that we made around deliberatives and things like that to pair meetings up, and created this for us. So so you have our meeting schedule for the year.
All right, looks good. Anyone have a question on that?
So I have a question. It has to do with meetings, but none of these. Greg, in the past, we would have a kind of a board retreat in order to reflect on what we've accomplished and set goals for the following year. I understand that this is totally different now and that there were other priorities that the administration's focused on. Do we have thoughts around how, when, or if we're going to handle that this year?
We do. I was discussing it with Dr. Lupini. We want to keep business as usual. We've been talking with Sue around getting the school improvement plan and everything sort of semi-set in place so that we could use that to inform our decisions. We did a similar thing last year where we pushed, I think we were in July the year before. Last year we pushed a little bit more into August so that we could have the school SIP plan in place. So that's the intention this year as well. And I think this sounds like the school improvement plan is in a pretty good spot, that there's enough there to inform us. So yeah, we should start discussing calendar dates when we can do our board retreat. Probably somewhere around August, but certainly open to suggestions.
I can be patient. I can wait until we have kind of more information at next week's joint board meeting, and then even once we have the go, no-go decision, because the decision about return to school may inform some of our work too. So I'm happy to be patient. I was just thinking about it when I was looking at the calendar overall.
Yeah, it's a good point. Thank you for bringing it up. But so the intention is, yes, we will have our board retreat. And for the new members, when I use the word retreat, it's not like spa day. It's it's a conference room with donuts.
Then I'm out.
And this year you can go to the spa because you can do it through Zoom if you want. So more to come on that. Okay, moving on to our financial report. Matt.
Yes, so we have included the fiscal year-to-date expenditure and revenue reports on board docs. There have really been no changes from last month. So we still are on track to end the year. We have unexpended. We're currently at over $200,000 in available funds. However, that will drop down due to primarily due to retirement payments. We will fully fund our expendable trusts at the end of the year with and we'll likely and we have some you know, I want to say $40,000 or $50,000 in revenues. So we'll have approximately $200,000, you know, 175 to 200 to return to the town at year end. So happy to answer any questions that you may have if you have specific accounts that you're interested in.
Nope. Anyone? All right. Thank you, Matt. Moving on, we have some personnel job share we'll talk about in non-public, summer hiring.
Right.
And
So
I think Dr. Lupini is going to talk to us about that.
Yes. So this is an action you've taken the last few years, at least since I've been here. This is a motion that authorizes the superintendent to hire staff who have contracts, or teaching staff essentially, during June, July, and August, and to bring the names of new hires to the August and/or September board meetings for ratification. So we've done this the last couple of years. It gives us the flexibility that if people, if we have resignations and we don't have any positions, I don't believe right now, but if we had positions, we would be able to move and extend contracts to them in competition with other districts, even during that time period. So, so that's the action we're requesting.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the superintendent to hire staff with contracts during June, July, and August, and to bring those names of new hires to the August and/or September board meeting for ratification.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, roll call vote.
Aaron,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Nermina.
Yes.
I have the vote, Greg.
Thank you, Rhonda. Next item is a resignation. Is this a non-public topic
Yes.
as well?
Yes, please.
That's what I thought. Okay, so that sort of wraps up our regular. The next joint board meeting is Monday, June 15th. As Dr. Lupini mentioned, it will outline some back to school work that's been being done. Joint board policy committee meeting on June 24th. And our next scheduled Northampton School Board meeting is Thursday, August 6th. So did I miss the July meeting? Was it not on the agenda, or did we?
No July meeting?
There is no July meeting.
No.
Okay. I thought, did we agree not to do a July meeting, or is that just a thing now?
I can't, you did not specifically agree, but I thought it was a thing. Sorry.
It's in the calendar. It was not.
Yeah, I'm okay. I mean,
Totally be a thing. It can be a thing.
we've done this in the past where we've voted, not to do the July meeting because. So I'm fine with that. If everyone else is fine with that, we can let it be the thing.
There will obviously be some other, we think there'll be some other joint briefings at the very least.
Yeah. I'm sure we will all be communicating, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so the official board meeting will be not till August.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to enter non-public session under RSA 91A3 2B.
A second.
Roll call.
Aaron,
Roll call.
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
and Nermina.
Yes. Sorry, Aaron, you were muted.
You
So-
totally beat me.
Ah.
Give me a few moments just to get the whole non-public thing going. And I'm going to slide Tracy and Becca, put them on hold.
You can put them, you can leave them here.
Oh, leave them here?
You can leave them in. Yes.
All right. Sorry about that, Tracy.
Welcome back.
Okay, we are
All right.
recording again. The meeting has been unlocked, so if he is able to jump back in.
All right, so I just texted Tom to tell him to log back in, so why don't we give him just a moment? And maybe in the meantime, Rhonda can dazzle us with more background magic.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's all you had? You had a
Play some
flag,
music.
that was it.
Can't you play some music, Greg?
Yeah, it might play on its own. All right.
My husband's trying to call out your music. You could hear it from the other room.
And Tom is back,
All right.
so he should be popping in here any minute.
There he is.
And I got promoted to panelist.
Yes.
I was told there'd be no promotions this year, Tom. All right, we are back and we need some motions made.
Motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation of Sarah Benson for the half teacher, half EA grade 2 job share position for the 2020-2021 school year.
I second.
Any further discussion? Nope. Vote?
Aaron Stanton,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Nermina.
Yes.
I have the vote recorded.
Okay, and then we will need a motion. Do we need a motion on the resignation?
Here, just if you would accept the resignation, yes, please.
A motion to accept the resignation from Mrs. Murphy.
I'll second. Roll call?
Aaron,
Yes.
Greg,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Nermina.
Yes.
I have the vote recorded.
All right, thank you. And anyone want to make a motion to?
Motion to adjourn.
There it is. I can't believe I had to ask. I'll second. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Hey, happy
Cheerio,
Sunday.
Jane. Thank you for your time.